Alright, AP Government, it's Robinson coming at you with another online lecture before, during, or after your Thanksgiving break. There's the bell. Time to come back in from lunch. Here we go. Alright, today's lecture is on influences on members of Congress. What are factors that influence the way that members of Congress act? I bet if you sit there and think for a moment, you can think of some things that influence how Congress members act. Alright, this first side I think is pretty important. If you are elected as a congressman, how should you behave? Should you behave in such a way that you do what's right and you follow what's in your heart? Or should you behave in such a way that you do what the people of your district or state want you to do? Which is the right decision? Well, there are names for this. One way to act is a delegate role. And in a delegate role, you're going to vote more for bills as a way that you, like however you think the people of your district or state might feel, you're going to match the way that they feel. So let's say you are personally really against abortion, but you come from a really liberal state that supports abortion. If you believe in a delegate role as a congressman, then you're going to vote to support abortion rights in order to please the people of your state. So that's the delegate role. Another way to say that is engaging in representational voting. You're representing the people, not necessarily following your heart. Of course, it is difficult to gauge constituent opinion on a given issue. Many constituents are not even aware of issues faced by Congress. Alright, so sometimes there's like weird little issues that are very specific that you could never know how the people back at your state felt about a certain thing. So this can't always apply necessarily. The other major way that you can behave is in the trustee role. If you're a trustee, if you follow the trustee model of leadership, then you believe that you should do what you feel is right in your heart as a leader of Congress and not pay attention so much to what everybody else feels back in your state. You feel like, I know better than them, this is my job, I was elected for a reason. Examples of people that might act this way that come to my mind are someone like John McCain. Doesn't necessarily do what the people of Arizona want him to do. He does what he thinks is right, and he's been reelected, so I guess he's doing it okay. This is also called attitudinal voting. Attitudinal voting. Alright, other members of Congress, like party leaders, committee leaders, state delegations, and other members, if you're going to vote along with them, okay? So this is the question here is what influences Congress's behavior? Well, other members of Congress do. Okay, other members of Congress do. The way that they're going to vote on stuff, you know, if the whip calls you up and says that you should vote this way, there's pressure to vote that way. If you're Republican, there's pressure to vote with the Republicans. If you're a Southern Democrat, for instance, there's pressure to vote with the Southern Democrats. If you're a blue dog Democrat is like a moderate Democrat. There's pressure to vote with people and the party that's very similar to you. Okay? If you vote this way with your party or with the people around you, you're engaging in organizational voting. Maybe you want to underline that a little bit. Alright? There's something called reciprocacy or log rolling. Reciprocacy is you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. You vote for my bill, and I will vote for your bill. This is also another name you'll see on your vocab is log rolling. Log rolling is exactly you vote for my bill, and I'll vote for your bill. Even though I don't really like your bill, and you don't really like my bill, but I do love my own bill, and I want it to pass. So I'm going to exchange as a favor. I'll vote for yours, even though I don't like it, and you vote for mine, even though maybe you don't like it. Alright, congressional staff members. So these are people that work for the congressman, like the staffers. They're not elected, alright, they're hired by the congress people. Alright, they have some level of control over the way that a congressman acts, alright, or a congresswoman acts. They control the information that members receive, alright. They control access to members. So they can kind of even manipulate some of the congressmen. They help set the committee agenda. They make recommendations on legislation, like they tell the congressman, I've read this bill front to back and I think it's a good bill, or I've read this bill front to back and I think it's bad. Let's be honest, the congressmen are not really reading a lot of these bills. They're getting basically like a summary of it from their staffers. And if there's a staffer who has a certain passion for something, you can bet their bias may come into play in their interpretation of whether a bill is good or bad. So they have kind of tremendous power. They help to write legislation. A lot of these bills that say, like, written by John McCain or written by Barack Obama when he was a senator, a lot of them aren't even really written by them. They're actually written by the staffers, and then Obama or McCain will put their name on it. They analyze info from presidential staff, so the president might send information over for them to look at, and they might decipher it. So I think I already talked about this. It says talk about the pros and cons of staffers. Basically, these guys are not elected, but they have tremendous power because they have control when it comes to who has access to the congressman and what the congressman might think or feel, depending on how much the congressman relies on them. Okay, what else influences the behavior of Congress? Interest groups. Can you think of the different ways that interest groups influence congressmen? I know you can think about it. Who's my shining star? All right, let's see. Through campaign contributions. Did you think about that? Very good. All right, one way that interest groups influence congressmen. Doing report cards. So they'll do a report card on Barack Obama, and the NRA would say he gets an F- because he's against the ownership of guns. All right, targeting. They'll attack certain congressmen. They provide information to congressmen about certain issues, plastic bags. I don't know about plastic bags. So the interest group will call up a senator or a House rep and say, here's why you should limit the use of plastic bags because it brings up pollution 6%. They testify before committees, often providing information the same way, but you can bet it's with a bias based on what their interest group wants. And paying for junkets. And so what a caucus is in this case is basically like, let's look at the Black Caucus. This is all of the black members of Congress, or maybe all the black members of the House. They all kind of meet on a little committee. This is not, it's not set up by the Constitution or anything. They're doing this out of choice. And they just get together every once in a while and they talk about the issues. And what they want is to adequately represent say, African Americans if it's a Black Caucus, or Hispanic Americans if it's the Hispanic Caucus. Basically, it's a place for minority groups in the Senate and the House to get together and make sure that, maybe they can all as a block vote for certain legislation together to try to get it passed. All right, this is bold here. The president can reward or punish members of Congress, particularly those within his own party. All right, so if somebody does something to make him angry, especially if they match his party, like Obama, if somebody makes him mad and they're a Democrat, he can punish them by not going to their fundraiser to raise money, okay, not speaking out on their behalf, not defending them, and vice versa. He can reward them, all right, and you see, like Obama visits a lot of these fundraisers. He tries to get people elected, re-elected, all right, and that's because maybe they did something good for him, and he wants to reward them accordingly. Aren't you so glad that you have the video of me so you can really see my expressions? Isn't that what you wanted? You should know that the president kind of has something called an electronic throne. Naturally, that he has more of an ability to influence the media because he is so important, and there are always news cameras that are waiting to hear what he has to say. Alright, we're getting towards the end here. What else influences Congress? That's the whole theme here. Campaign contributors. These are people that give money to a campaign. People like you and me, citizens. Probably oftentimes they're quite wealthy. So a rich person gives a maximum donation to a congressman. The rich person also calls up the congressman and says, I have this oil field in Texas, and they won't approve the permit for it. You should probably get that done. That's going to influence the congressman maybe to try to help out that person because let there be light. Woo! That's going to influence a congressman to vote a certain way because he wants to either keep getting those donations from the oil man or pay back the donation that he got. My slide here says that evidence is mixed, though, that this is not necessarily a surefire thing, but I don't know, it's kind of a safe assumption, don't you think? The media also impacts the way that congressmen act, I think very heavily. There's not much notes here, but I think they very heavily impact the way that congresspeople act because of their focus on certain issues, or if they're being a watchdog and they're saying so-and-so is misbehaving himself, then that's going to influence the way. Okay, another thing that influences interest groups is iron triangles. They're also known as sub-governments or issue networks or policy networks. We've learned about them already, but basically it's like the partnership and pairing between a congressional committee, so like a committee in the House or a committee in the Senate, a federal agency or like part of the bureaucracy, like a department that works for Obama, and then an impacted interest group. So I have an example. All right, let's say that there's going to be a law passed about the airline industry. Okay, so an iron triangle regarding that would be like the Public Works and Transportation Committee. That's a congressional committee. All right, a congressional committee. Then there's the FAA, Federal Aviation Agency. So this is the bureaucracy that work for Obama. All right, they control the airplanes and whatnot. And then there is the interest groups that are interested in this, like the Mechanics Union and the Pilots Union and the Air Transportation Association. And the iron triangle is a connection between those three groups. All right, and that has an influence on the way that congressmen act. All right. Still, this falls under interest groups, really. All right, party membership. This is similar to an earlier slide we had about people tend to have pressure from within their party. But party membership, this seems to be the best predictor of how you're going to vote, is party membership. And your party unity scores are quite strong. Like Democrats tend to vote with other Democrats like 90% of the time. Republicans tend to vote with Republicans like 90% of the time. So the party that you're affiliated with is usually the best indicator of how you're going to vote as a congressman. Okay? Oh my gosh, we're done. What can I say? Thanks for taking time to watch. Sorry I wasn't that funny, but I didn't have time to come up with anything too funny, I guess. I'm sorry. I hope you're enjoying your Thanksgiving break. I wonder how many of you will watch this on Saturday or Sunday before the break. How many of you will watch it after? But either way, I hope you eat that turkey. I hope you have plenty of cranberries. I like them in the canned cranberries that you can chop up into slices. Delicious. I once ate an entire can of cranberry sauce on a bet for $20. Really made my teeth hurt a lot. So anyway, have a fantastic Thanksgiving, and I will see you right when we get back.